Hi and welcome to yet another git-python live development stream. This is Byron speaking, and today we will keep fixing up the submodules that have been troubling me for so long. I've been suffering from this actually myself because there's a little project called pgit, and pgit is like basically it exposes the submodule features of where is it? The submodule features of git-python to the command line. You know, that's all it is. Excuse me. And you know, it was built for a specific job, and it was good for that for the most part. But you know, it showed kind of one or two issues that reoccurred, that caused trouble, and that made me at some point say, you know what, people, please don't use it. I will be the only one who uses it because I kind of know its quirks that it shouldn't have in the first place. And I was always afraid to fix this because I knew it's git-python and I knew the submodule code. Fortunately, now I kind of have a much better feeling about the submodules because it's not that bad at all. Usually it's easy to fix what's happening there. And in the last session, let's call it session, I have been adding a few new tests just to, you know, get back into business here and to verify a few things that seem to work by now, but I know the tests are not yet good enough. Much more needs to be tested, such as basically rewriting or moving submodules, and I think that's something we could do next. There's also code that is on my list of things to do that clones something. I think it's in the update method. So basically this guy says if I want to update and if my module does not yet exist here locally, then I'm cloning it. And the clone code has changed. Such that this part here has to be added to make it a good clone. And I think, considering that this stuff is relatively similar here, we have to put it into a we definitely have to put it into a separate function here or method in order to be a bit more independent and not to have to duplicate that code. I mean, I'm really talking about that code, I believe, which I definitely want to have in there just once. Okay, so that kind of stuff is special. Branch is default. I think the branch, does it matter here? It probably should matter, unless I check it out later. That could also be, but I don't know. So the branch stuff is something one might have to verify as well, but that is possibly another bug or another issue if it is a bug, because I think this guy should check out the right branch. But yeah, I try not to dig in too much. Don't check it out at first. Nonetheless, it will create a local branch according to the remote head if possible. I don't see that here, at least. Otherwise, it would kind of specify the branch name. Question is, do I have the branch name available here? I should, because if so, I would just be, you know, I would just try to feel lucky here. And there we go. So here's the branch handling. Good. So we don't do any branch handling in our little function. So all we want is really to deal with this separate checkout thing that is new. And let's see about that. How we best do this. So first, I guess I just I could just provide the key value args there so that it can be configured accordingly. Yeah, probably we should do that. And then have a little helper here. One more. Let's put it here. Yeah, let's make it a class method just because we are calling it from add, which is a class method, and from update, which is an instance method. Clone repo. And the parameters here we will set later, a bit later. So first of all, the KW args I want, the repo I want, the path I want, the name I want, good, and the URL. And then we will return the repository here. And I think that could possibly be it. Let's check if we have that amount of information in our update method here. I know we have it in our add method because that's where this code is coming from. Actually, let's get the signature out of there so I can kind of check it. So we wanted to make this call. What would happen? So we want a repository from clone from, and what do I need this repo for, please? To get a module path. Fine. Do we have some sort of repository here? If so, which? Our own. Fine. Fine. Yeah, I think we use our own repository here. Oh, look. I already do this. I already used this information. Okay, let's use it one more time. Self repo, self URL. That's the relative path that we want, so it's self path. Because I think this guy then, you know, this function is called twice now. But it's all right because possibly we don't, you know, this is something we have to review anyway because that is causing issues. Well, it's not causing issues, it shouldn't cause issues. So it's, I think it can stay. It's okay that we kind of indirectly call this method twice because clone repo calls it as well. Anyway, self name. And we have no additional keyword arguments here. Except for n equals true. Do we get that? Nope, not there. Okay, it's just a checkout thing that we want. So we want to check it out. Fine, so let's just set it. Clone repo. So basically we do have a keyword argument, which is true. Is there a long version as well? This should make it more readable. Git help clone -n. No, there's no long version of it. Oh, there it is, a long version. No checkout. See, so it should be false. And now I understand why I'm calling this no checkout, because I'm mimicking the command line argument of git-python. Of Git. Even though, you know, as I said last time, I kind of was confused about this. It's always bad to have negations in parameters. It makes it more difficult because your head has to do one more thing, you know. And brains, I think brains want to work, but brains can make mistakes, and let's not force it. So let's keep things simple. No checkout. So it's false, I suppose. Oh, actually, I don't want to check this out. Interesting. So it is true. Sorry, I was just... See, I was confused. This always confuses me. module path, that's the one I'm getting here, but you know, this function takes care of this anyway. So I think that should be fine now. And what does it say here? Git imported but unused. That is true. Let's make the linter happy, which makes me happy, at least happier. Okay, I think that should be better now, because now during updates, when it clones anything, it will properly support the submodule location, and the nitty-gritty details are taken care of for us. So last but not least, let's make this code work. Oh, sorry. Let's remove this code. Repo is this now. Oh, I forgot the signature already. So the KW args we provide here, that's all right. And then I think it needs the repository, which is repo in this case. Ah, come on, just look it up. Which is repo, then the URL, the path, and the name, and the keyword arguments. Like so. We have everything we need here, repo path name. And that should be the call. So now we saved a bunch of code that can be gone. And we should be fine. So in theory, our tests here, let's just call this one, should still work. That is true. And totally awesome, of course. The next thing is definitely totally important. Let's have a look at Twitter, because I see, I just wanted to see how it looks like if Twitch tweets for me. git-python development. All right, fine. For someone who never used Twitter, I have an amazing amount of tweets because they're all automatically generated. And you know, I was always like, you know, Twitter, who needs that? And I'm not really into this, and I'm still not sure if anybody needs this, but it's like a short message service for me, like that tweets it out into the world and says something, even though people might just not care. I don't care either, you know, it's automated. And if I can have it, it's probably better than not having it, considering that everybody's always about, yeah, Twitter, and you know, all the magazines and newspapers, they use this stuff, and for them it's probably even more important to see trends and whatnot. But for me, it's really just kind of a thing that I use because it's there, and why not? All right, that is working. So the next thing definitely is a rename. Let's see, move and remove. You know, remove we do at the end, and now we verify that the move works properly, which definitely needs adjustments, such that we will have to rewrite the git file. Previously that wasn't necessary. And the module path we are building here, these have to be adjusted too. That's for sure. But first, let's make it fail. Do we have a rename as well? No, that's interesting. I thought. Okay, let's see. Move the submodule to another module path. This involves physically moving the repository at our current path, changing the configuration, as well as adjusting our index accordingly. Yeah, that's a lot of work, kind of, to move a module path, the path to which to move our submodule, given as repository relative path. That's fine. I think we are supporting absolute path 2 now, at least in add, right? Parent as absolute or relative path, exactly. So my question is, should we, yeah, that's all the handling just to make it a relative path here. And we might consider putting that into a method in order to reuse it down there as well. And then people can be a bit more careless about what they provide to the move method. Yeah, that sounds about right. And this kind of normalization, make relative path, I think that's really what we are doing here. And what do we need? We need a repository. We need well, that is already it. Awesome. So let's put this somewhere else right away. To relative path. This can throw, of course, but it's okay. Oh yeah, and we might want to write some docs here. Return newly repo instance of newly cloned repository. Repo obvious URL to clone from. Our parent repository. Not so obvious actually. Thinking about it, should be parent repo, but I'm kind of too lazy now to rename that thing, especially because Sublime Text doesn't offer me refactor features, or I don't have them, so I don't do it. Call me lazy, but yes, that's how it is sometimes. Repository, damn it, relative path to the checkout submodule, checkout location, and the name, which is name of the submodule. Whoa. Canonical. I don't know, canonical is a word I can't really explain it, but if you use it in conjunction with names, it's a good thing. Yeah, I should probably look this up, but it seems right to me to say it here. But maybe it's nonsense. So let's see, canonical. What do you want to tell me? Canonical. Okay, that's also canonischer Link. Dictionary. That's it. Okay, it's not a canon. According to recognized and orthodox rules. Well, see, it's quite all right. What I said there, it's always all right in conjunction with names. Provide a name that is valid according to the recognized rules there, and orthodox rules. Yes, I think that's it. So it's always right to use it. Fine. I'm fine with that. Good. And then last but not least, KW args, additional arguments given to git clone, like that. Terrific. So now back to our actual method here that we want to write. Class method. To relative path, I think it was. That's the code. We will need a path and a repo, which is parent repo, and because it's used just once, I shall name it like that. And we shall return our path, obviously. Return a path guaranteed. Oh, that is not. Let's put on. See, I got it wrong. Yes, sorry. I always think about where's the U in there. Is it at the beginning or at the end? And I tend to put it at the end, but I think only 20% of the time, so most of the time I get it right, but I don't know how my brain works there. Probably not at all. A path guaranteed to be relative to the given parent repository. Ugh. And raise value error. If path is not contained in the parent repository. Raise working tree. Fine, fair enough. So let's go there and swap it in to relative path, parent repo, and path. There we go. All this stuff goes away. Nice. And then in case of move, we shall do the same. That's the first thing I do. Of course, we have to adjust our test to actually do the move, but one step at a time. The path which the move given is repository relative or absolute path. Intermediate directories will be created accordingly. If the path already exists, it must be empty. Trading backslashes are removed automatically. Wow, I'm quite precise there. But it's true. Look, all this duplicate thing here, module path. Module path is now self to relative path. Module path and the repository self repo. Like so. That will be fine. If it ends up being the same, don't do anything. Fine. And then all the fun part starts. First, yeah, I think, this method will probably not fail, but let's see what happens. I'm just curious now. Let's move it somewhere else. Let's move this submodule here. SM move to another destination. Submodules intermediate, we put it one level up. We put it into submodules 1, new SM path, submodules 1. Okay, that's where we move it to. Configuration, if true, the configuration will be adjusted to let the submodule point to the given path. Absolutely, that's kind of what you want most of the time. That's why it's true. Module, if true, the repository managed by this submodule will be moved. Oh wait, if true, the repository managed by this submodule will be moved, not the configuration. This will effectively leave your repository in an inconsistent state unless the configuration and index already point to the target location. Well, is this kind of, shouldn't this be if false? The repository managed by the submodule will be moved, not the... I don't understand that. I'm sure this made sense to me at some point, but right now, let's see. Oh, if module. Remove existing destination. I mean, it's true by default, so it should probably do the right thing. Yeah, we try to move the working tree, actually. That's what this does. No. It only wants to remove stuff. So what? Remove existing destination. It does indeed remove the existing destination. Really? Yeah, I think we have to have a look at a closer look at what dest path is here. And we have to differentiate between the checkout path and the module path. That's for sure. So the module path is what we're interested in. No, that's the new one. That's the destination. Okay, let's get the terminology straight here. The module path right now is the checkout path. Yeah. Let's name it like that, just to be sure. I will do this manually. Module path, the path to which to move our submodule. Move our module in the parent repositories working tree, given as repository relative or blah blah, the rest shall be fine, because that's what we are specifying here. The rest of the stuff, I mean, our actual, we also, I could rename this, but I don't want it because people could possibly call this function with keyword arguments only, which is fine. So I will just internally rename this and say checkout path. Yeah, well, let's call it module checkout path. Let's be very specific here. So we start off with that guy and then we compare that. That's still fine. I'm just replacing this kind of in a stupid way. Stupid in the sense of I don't try to understand the code underneath just yet. That's still on the right one. Hey, because that will happen automatically. Well, not automatically, but it shall happen once we deal with that. Okay, we update ourselves. Good. I mean, that's done now, and now we can kind of try to think about what has to happen here, or what's going on here. Module checkout path. So the destination path, that's the absolute module checkout apps path. That's what this is. So let's name it like that. Module checkout apps path. Long name, but better safe than sorry. And while I'm doing this, I'm also kind of learning what we are doing here. So we check. I mean, we do some safety checks here. That's all right. Then we will manipulate our index to, first we check if the destination exists in the index, if not, fail. So far we didn't do anything, so it's fine to fail here. Don't have to clean anything up. Then just remove existing destination. That is something we do. I don't know how this corresponds to this module flag. If true, the repository managed by the submodule will be moved, not the configuration. So effectively leave your repository in an inconsistent state unless the configuration, it says, oh, it leaves your repository in an inconsistent state, yet it's true by default. And this is something, honestly, this has to be improved. And this definitely has to be improved. So let's see, lots of desk path work here. So I should be able to fix this kind of now, I suppose. Even though I'm still clueless about why this is as it is. I have no idea really. Okay, it may be an empty directory. And if it's not empty, we fail. If it is, turns out to be a link, then we remove the link. If it turns out to be an empty directory, we will remove that one. I think that's only required so that we can put our checkout or our working tree, or our submodules working tree into the right spot without kind of having issues. So that's really it. But it's even more. So here it's really like, okay, we only do the actual working tree. I mean, it's related to the working tree, right? Here we prepare the impending move or rename, well, it's a move. And here we actually do the move, right? And that is it. So basically it kind of, let's rewrite that module. If true, the repository managed by this submodule will be moved. And there's not the configuration, doesn't matter. It's totally unrelated. This will effectively leave your repository. Well, if false, will be moved as well. If false, this will leave your repository in an inconsistent state unless the configuration and index already point to the target location. So is that the case? If false, no, I mean, we do this rename anyway. And if false, we just don't move the working tree. If false, we don't move the submodules checkout, which may leave the parent repository in an inconsistent state. Yeah, in an inconsistent state. Well, that's how it is. Okay. So we can, this code looks like it can deal with the module not being checked out or existing at all. That's good. I'm sure we test this somewhere, but we'll get to that in a moment, I suppose. Yeah, we'll definitely have to see what we test here and what not, but I think this is very well tested. We create parent directory, rename does that now. Okay. Existence, non-emptiness. Good. Here we have it one more time. So let's have a look at this. Move the module into place. So that's our current path. If module and our current path exists, then we rename this into that and flag it like so. We will find out why. So if something, if our configuration change here fails, we will actually if this configuration change fails, we will actually rename it back to its original location. And I'm not sure if this will be, OS renames, rename S. Did I change this line? Yeah, I did change it, but OS renames, honestly, come on. Don't tell me OS rename S. Rename, super rename, create directories as necessary and delete any left empty. Oh, that's awesome. Rename super. Nice, somebody wanted to save some letters here and now it's renames. Yeah. Low level, as low level as Python can be, but it's kind of low level naming conventions. Let's use acronyms, kind of acronyms that come to my mind at night, 2 o'clock in the morning, and I just want to finish this, then renames is exactly what I come up with. Yes, sounds like a good name. Awesome. So far so good. Actually, this could work. We just have to rewrite. We don't rename the submodule itself. We just move the module. And that's something, we don't have to move the module's the actual module or the actual submodule location, the repository itself, you don't have to move that unless our submodule name itself changes, because that's depending only on the submodule name. And this is something we have to make sure we keep straight. So right now, I think we should be good here, except for we have to rewrite the git file. Because once this has renamed has been renamed, the path relative to our actual module will change. And I wonder if we even, I mean, we don't even seem to support changing the name. And that is interesting. Nope. Remote had somebody. No, we don't support that. Awesome. We might want to implement this though, because now renaming a submodule is not trivial anymore. And do I have pgit here? I do. So what can you do? Query, add, move, update, remove. Okay. So I can't actually rename them. I think previously I might have just renamed them in the git modules file myself, so I didn't really need to support this in git-python. But now this won't cut it anymore, because that would basically mean that we can't find our existing submodule repository. Fair enough. Okay, it's something to watch out for. Good. So let's get back to business. Let's just make the move here. What do we return? We return ourselves. Or we raise. Good. And basically all we want is that after that we still exist. And the module should exist as well. So right now I expect one of those to fail. This should succeed, and module exists should fail because our git file points to an invalid, now invalid directory. So let's do this. We have to rewrite the git file after all. Oh, that's interesting. Couldn't find git modules file in the tree of parent commit. Really? That is interesting, certainly. Excuse me. Oh yeah, sorry. That was the thing. Everything is clean. Git modules exists. It also exists in the oh, interesting. It tries to read it from the commit at FEA599, which is the first commit, and this doesn't contain that even. So what happened there, please? Could it be that this submodule still points to to the initial commit for some reason, so it kind of didn't update itself? I have the feeling that this entire parent commit thing, I know why I put it in, but I think it might be a disadvantage right now because, it's not staying up to date. Can I kind of force an update here? Set parent commit. Set this instance to use the given commit whose tree is supposed to contain the git modules blob. Well, I could fix it. Easily. And then it will update itself. Could also just clear the cache. Clear cache. Maybe we can kind of trigger that. Set parent commit exists. No. So my question is, just for the sake of testing, does that make a difference? Couldn't find git modules file in the tree of parent commit 79c. It's a different one. Oh no, it's different now because the time changed, and yeah. So I think it's still using the old one. Let's go there. That's the first one now. See, all right. So that doesn't help. So maybe set parent commit, and that's the parent commit that points to, that our head currently points to. That should work. Now at least our test should do some. Okay. That is interesting. It moved up one level, yet it still claims it's correct. Module exists. Maybe module exists just goes by the name. Return true if our module exists and is a valid Git repository. And this module function, okay, it tries to get a repository at our absolute path, which where is it? Oh yeah. I have to try that myself. Something is still wrong there. What's the absolute path? That is true. So if I ask for the module, I get this one, which is also true. But I have the feeling that it returns this based on, you know, our actual name, and then it kind of figures out, I'm in Git 1.8 or newer, and then I have to search for it somewhere else. And that's really what I'm concerned about. Invalid Git repository. Or I'm stupid and this Git path still points to the right location. This Git dir. And this shouldn't be. So see, it renamed it properly. But there should be a Git file. It is a Git file. Oh, it points there with an absolute path. Whoa, that shouldn't be. I thought it's relative all the time. What the hell? I mean, this is why it actually works. It shouldn't work. All right. I mean, we clone from an absolute path. This. I mean, we do this. We do the separate git dir thing and provide it with an absolute path to the module. But I was thinking that it puts in a relative path automatically, but why? Is it supposed to work like this? Okay, that directory doesn't exist anymore. Separate. I get file system agnostic git symbolic link. Well, there's a Git repository that can be separate from the working tree. It doesn't say anything about that. Let's look it up. Git source, separate working, separate git dir. I was like, separate working tree, but no. It's in clone, it's in init. Opt string, real git-dir. That's the variable they use. Set git-dir init. A real git-dir, then blah blah blah. Is there more about this? Set git-dir init is a function that we might want to look at. Yes, definitely. Set git-dir init. Git-dir, real git-dir. So it could have the chance to get a relative path there, but it doesn't apparently. So that's the one we want to put the put the repository into, and it sees if it doesn't exist and stuff. Okay. And separate git-dir. And then it gets a git link. Okay, that's just the... Where is that coming from, by the way? Where is that defined, please? Or declared? Was it a global thing? No way. Oh, it is a global thing. Ooh. But okay, they kind of are in their own world. They're just all about the git commands, and they don't claim to be a library. It's just the git commands. So that's why. So that's what libgit2 is there for. It kind of re-implements all this stuff, but makes sure it's kind of its own library so that these globals won't be there. Oh, that is not good. But that kind of shows us that's just a path. And read git file, rename, blah. Yeah, I don't see anything with relative something. That looks a bit interesting. Command init db. Git-dir parent minus git-dir. I don't know if that kind of truncates that, so that it removes. No, it doesn't make a relative path here. Okay. Yeah, good. This is also, I mean, I have to do it anyway when I rewrite this, so I have to do it now, even though I would be tempted to have a look. I mean, if I use the submodule add, I think it creates relative path automatically. Therefore, yeah, that was my impression, at least. Is why I'm so surprised here. So I think it's submodule after all that does the relative path thingy. Relative. Do they name it somewhere? Clone. Yeah, they also separate. I don't know. I never find anything really, which is weird. Well, it's a huge file. and I don't find anything that I would expect to find, so I guess I have to call it off. Fair enough. I will call it off and will just implement it myself, and I'm also curious to see what happens if I specify a separate git dir here myself. So let's let him fail. Okay, let's use this just to make another clone here. Git submodule add and the URL, then the name, the path, submodules 2, and the name is smmap. All right, so let's have a look at submodules 2 git. So that is relative now. See, he does it. And now my question is, can I do this myself? Oh, can I do this myself? Can I just take this path and clone it myself? Git clone. Well, let's copy this for now. That's the separate git dir. Does it use equals? Why am I always confused with that? I'm confused with that because I think it's not consistent. Yes, go ahead. Fine. So let's do this. Separate git dir. No, it seems to be consistent. I'm always like, should I put an equal sign there? But no, I shouldn't. Never. I mean, not with git apparently, but it's kind of common in the Linux command line world to do that, and most paths support both. I think when you use GCC, for instance, you can do both ways, like standard POSIX rules. All right, like so. What do we want to clone? This one. And where do we want to clone it? In submodules. Well, just as mmap then. Couldn't switch to blah, no such file or directory. Interesting. Which is, I mean, oh wait, it is true. Now it's just one level up. I mean, let's see if it takes it automatically as relative to the checkout or to the clones path. Could not switch to, no such file or directory. Modules, submodules 2. That definitely exists as seen from his mmap. Okay, so if I put it as seen from my current working directory, then it's this, and we shall make it yeah, just as mmap. I mean, it doesn't matter really where he puts it, but let's see how that looks like now. Does he put in a proper relative path, which would need to go one up? No, it puts in an absolute path always. Okay, so I realize I have to rewrite that git file in any case. Good. So I have to take a short break. I will be back with more.